It's 1918, and the Russian state is in complete shambles. The Bolshevik Revolution turned out to be a failure after Lenin got shot. The remaining opposition to the communists quickly set up a provisional government, who was then replaced by a power-hungry oligarch named Savinkov. Now, naturally, as per global standards at the time, the entire government was flawed with bureaucratic rot, and Russia, as it stands right now, is in no operating order. So, here's my story on how I fixed Russia's democracy. And before I recorded this video, I wanted to take, the right choice in every decision presented to me. But then I forgot I'm playing an alt history LARP mod where World War I was won by the Germans. And, the right choice isn't always in the event chains. So to begin Russia anew, I knew we needed political reform. Stat. So I started to end the political deadlock that plagued the Russian Republic. And when the Senate met that same weekend, they all decided that, you know what? This Savinkov guy, not a good guy. And he can't be allowed to centralize any more power. And wouldn't you know it, the Senate came to meet again, the very next day. And Krasinski, the Senate leader, was shot dead on the Senate steps. Now, obviously, we have no clue who did it, but I think the civilians might have a clue about who done it. You know what? He'll be fine. After Savinkov tried to flee the city, he didn't even make it around the block because one of his own soldiers planted a bomb in the car. That's some real revolutionary stuff. Now, the next person up for president decided to start a brand new temporary government, and the game lets me decide who will lead this coalition of politicians. Either Dimitri Romanov, who can stabilize Russia immediately, or a left-winger named Alexei Rykov, and risk the ruin of another long, bloody revolution. This was an easy choice for me. Russia needed a strong, unifying voice to rise from the smoldering ruins that the Republic sat in. And, well, luckily, Dimitri came along just in time for Black Monday to hit. And, well, what was the first thing Dimitri did when he got into office? Well, he looked over the Constitution for any funny little loopholes, of course. And after some preliminary research, I announced the new course plan, where any of the Senate opposition will no longer be able to veto me, and my friends get to create all the laws. Just speaking here, we let women into the army, but only in a woman's division. We'll call it the Women's Battalion of Death, and we'll give them state-of-the-art technology, and, you can be the general if you want. And I think that was the easiest approval I think I've ever given. So I authorized the creation of these units, and decided to station them in my personal estate in Petrograd, and the other unit was placed outside the Senate for protection. Now that I've protected the political elite from these dangerous radicals present in every big city, I began my work behind the scenes to rebuild the Russian economy by mass spamming civilian factories until I felt comfortable. This resulted in a pro-oligarch funded political party that was actively trying to influence Dimitri, but all this resulted in was a giant industrial tool that would support Dimitri's vision for Russia. And with my new tool, and a couple focuses later, Russia has completely rid itself of its economic depression, and now it's in the perfect position to take off for its full potential. Even the game thinks we're such a good democracy, we get called a bastion of democracy. As former democratic lovers in Europe are flocking to Mother Russia. Yeah, it's a weird timeline we live in. Everyone's flocking to Mother Russia, probably just because we're offering a buy one get one deal in Siberia. Despite all the great and grand things I have already accomplished for Mother Russia, the political deadlock is still rampant. I thought if I ignored the problem long enough, it would just magically go away. As, that's how these things tend to work in HOI4. But the problem persisted, and the Senate took Dimitri's powers away. So, what did I do to retaliate? I just continued to ignore my issues. Wouldn't you look at that? The left opposition has completely shattered out of nowhere, and now I have no enemies even in my own Senate. There's no more concerns to shoot down, is what I'm saying. Now that the old left alliance is in free fall, this was Dimitri's perfect time to sell some weapons. What? Yeah. Dimitri, he's got like Romanov spidey senses, and he can just tell when things are about to go to shit. And before everything happened, I put at least a couple thousand guns on the market to make a quick buck. Anyways, in other big world news, Peru declared war on Ecuador. That's something you won't even see in HOI4's base game. Oh, sorry. That's something you won't even see in HOI4's new DLC, Trial of Allegiance. And now that I'm already on the side tangent, I'll try to make this rant short. Paradox, I thought you might be different, but no. You are just the same as the rest of the soulless corporations dead set on turning one transaction into at least 10 or 12 smaller ones. I know you gave out those 3 DLCs for free. Bravo, good for you. But my guy, you were building core game functions off of DLCs. I mean, how do you screw that up? This is terrible design, and it's intentionally bad. They want to make you to spend more money for the full quote-unquote experience. And it's also completely fucking despicable that you can get such a half-assed DLC for South America. You didn't even do all the Latin American countries. Even my monkey brain can count all the nations that you gave a focus tree to in this DLC because it fits on one hand. The focuses are overpowered and fighting against an overpowered AI, where it's a David versus Goliath type of thing. But, you know, Goliath, he rides the short bus. Did I buy the DLC? No. I didn't even know the DLC was this close to release. I saw the first dev diary like in January, but I didn't keep up with it because it's South America. But I'm just supposed to get... Okay. Sorry about that tangent. It wasn't necessary. No, it was necessary. I set up my spies in Ukraine because, well, you know, this is a LARP mod, and I wanted to LARP really bad. And I really wanted to do some preemptive strikes against my neighbors. You know, America style. But, silly me. Kaiserreich and HOI4 are conflicting games, and I have to wait for a war goal on Ukraine to even plan a preemptive strike. I'm gonna let that sink in. You need a war goal to plan a preemptive strike. So I gave up on that dream and focused on crippling my enemy's stability before the army can roll through. And with that plan in place and the recession behind Russia already, it became clear to me that Dimitri needed to start liberating the lands we lost in the Weltkrieg. And before pushing my way west, I needed to map paint the Mongolian steppes. And after that little road bump, I decided just to liberate Central Asia as the first sister republic to Russia. So I won't be so alone in this fight. Let's take a look at what's going on in America. Alright, that looks like a headache. Oh, now this is the real primetime action I wanted. Funny part is it's got a chance for a sequel. Now it's time to ramp up for war. I wanted to create units that would hold under green air, just so I could support 3 to 4 tank divisions that are purely focused on soft attack. And let me tell you a little secret here. The AI is not that good. Here's what my front line looks. It goes from Sevastopol all the way to Helsinki. And the Grand Russian army will hold every goddamn inch. And after deploying my super weapon, I was ready for war. I forgot to design tank divisions. Wait, what? One of my planes was shot down over Belarus during a reconnaissance mission? You know what, Germany? This means war. You can't be the aggressor to me. Shoot down one of Russia's planes. Now that I finally joined the war, albeit a little late, the Germans already spent a lot of their stamina in the first months of the fight, and it will surely be a swift victory for Mother Russia. I wanted to start it off with an easy encirclement, but my tanks were not ready. So I told my soldiers just to march forward anyway, because the gas should tear the enemy to shreds before they even fight you. And just like that, we start the war off by encircling a handful of Ukrainians. After that, I hit go on all of the Ukrainian front, and oh my god, look at that cast damage. I need to deploy more cast. Now that the tanks finally rolled out of basic training, they were ready for some funsies with their gunsies, and an immediate test shall be conducted on the Ukrainians. Now that I have the divine ability to just right-click any province I want, there will be no stopping me. After that crushing blow from the tanks, the Ukrainians capped, and now it's time to redirect my attention to Georgia, who didn't take that long, thankfully. Now to Belarus. I wanted to encircle the entire country, but, you know, Belarus capped, and it still left a very sizable pocket for me to clean out. And after making solid progress in Poland, the Germans had a really tempting troop count to go after. So I immediately redirected my tanks north to try and catch the pocket before they could leave, but those slimy bastards slipped through my hands and they escaped back across the river to safety. Now with another Kraut puppet gone, the front line will only become more bloody. The Germans have lost 200,000, Ukraine 600,000, Austria 200,000, while I've only taken about 500,000, which is, you know, acceptable as Russia. So I just told my troops, don't stop. We pushed into the provinces where there wasn't any air support, and because the airports were on the other side of the front line, I needed them to keep going so I could put up more cast. Berlin must burn. Anyways, mission accomplished. And now it's time to take out Finland, and I'll just hit go. Now we can forget about that front. Now, I'll destroy the Austrians by connecting up with our Serbian allies. Well, that was pretty easy. Wait, what? We lost Berlin and my generals didn't say anything? I look away for 2 weeks. So I immediately initiated Operation Berlin Part 2. Berlin Part 2. And that saw great success. But this combat is so degrading on the mental state. You have no idea how big these time jumps are. I was tricked into looking at Denmark for longer than 10 seconds. How could you do this to me, Kaiserreich? Anyways, after Germany was waving their brand new white flag, it was time to steamroll the Austrians. And, oh wait, god damn it. Look away for 2 seconds. You know what? You can just have it. I'm just gonna ignore the issue until it's not an issue. In order to win the war more effectively, I ordered the bypassing of Vienna to clear out the Czech mountains. And it's time to make a giant push to the sea. And oh, would you look at that. Vienna's surrounded. And I think I might just take the city under siege. War crimes, you know. And after completing a couple donuts on the beach, we turned our tanks right back around and finished them off. Now, it was just Sweden remaining, and pretty much at this point of the game, I can just, and poof, they're gone. And do you hear that, viewer? It's the sound of peace. I've brought peace and balance to this realm. Oh, what's that? You want your powers back, Senate? Well, do you remember that battalion of death? Well, I think it's time we execute Order 66.